Hi everyone, it's Matt Bloomfield at Wycombe Wanderers and you're listening to Wycombe Sound.
The Wycombe Wanderers Show.
Welcome to the final Wycombe Wanderers show of the season. Yes, everything's done and dusted, league positions sorted out, ended the campaign with a win, all's good. Joe Jacobson waved the fond farewell on his 400th appearance at Adams Park. If you were there on Saturday, pretty decent crowd as well. I think, was it 6,702? I think it was. A fantastic day and a way to round off the 2023-24 campaign as well. In the next hour, we'll be hearing from one of those players who was on the field, Captain Jack Grimmer, who of course has led the team on a number of occasions this season. Also coming up this hour, we'll give you a compilation of nearly all, I think, of the ex-players that we've spoken to over the course of the season, which has been a great thrill and brilliant to be able to bring you. I know it's a highlight for many of the show. There are other good bits of the show as well, but I think that bit is especially popular, I've been told. Also got an extended chat with Carl Simon, who's the Wycombe Wanderers women's manager as well, rounding up their campaign, which also concluded at the weekend as well. But first, manager Matt Bloomfield has offered new contracts to Chris Farino, Gareth McCleary and Franco Ravasoli. You might have heard this was announced today. As plans continue for the start of the new season, the Chairboys boss has been holding talks with his out-of-contract players, and the club can now confirm its retained list. Leaving Adams Park by the end of their contracts this summer will be Max Striek, Joe Jacobson, as you've heard, Damani Mellor, Nathan Shepherd, Jack Wakely and Kane Vincent-Young as well. Wish them obviously all the best for their futures. It's been brilliant to speak to those that we have on the show as well, and we'll keep you posted as to whether contracts are accepted for Chris Farino, Gareth McCleary and Franco Ravasoli as well, who all I think have had really good seasons so far. One of those who is already contracted for next season is Jack Grimmer, and here are his thoughts at the end of the campaign.
I think especially since the turn of the year, things have been a lot better for us, and you know, the end of the season's probably coming at the wrong time for us, to be honest, because we've been on such good form since sort of the turn of the fixtures. But you know, I think you're always looking forward to getting some time off and putting your feet up, as it were, because you know the season is long and grueling, and it's nice to spend some time with your family.
As you say, does it feel in a way like it's a bit of a shame the season's ending, because it does seem to be sort of the second part of the campaign, things seem to have been clicking so well?
It is, yeah. I think we finally sort of found our feet. You know, the season was probably one of transition, and it's unfortunate, like you said, that I think even if the season was to continue for, you know, sort of 5 or 10 more games, then I think we would have gotten to where we wanted to be, you know, at the beginning of the season, which is in and around the playoffs and looking to fight for promotion. But you know, it wasn't to be. You know, unfortunately, we lacked that sort of consistency in the first part of the season. But it's always nice to finish strongly going into the summer.
It feels like such a long time ago, doesn't it, that you spoke so passionately about, you know, how you felt that the team were letting the manager down, really, and it wasn't too long after that, really, that things seemed to really sort of turn the corner, and especially with the loan signings coming in January as well. Yeah,
absolutely. We were very lucky in January, I think, with, you know, the addition of some good players, and, you know, people like Butch. Matt Butcher just coming in and hitting the ground running, you know, and you know, sort of helped propel us up the league a little bit, and it helped us. You know, his goal at Bradford was one that gets us to Wembley. So I do feel like thankfully we managed to turn the season around. You know, we definitely weren't where we wanted to be, but you know, with such a strong finish, you know, finishing 10th in a cup final, you know, unfortunately, which we didn't win, but a cup final, which was a day that everyone can remember. So I do feel like other parts of the season I'd, you know, spoken a few times about letting the fans and letting the gaffer down, and you know, thankfully we did manage to turn it around.
Was that trophy run and getting to the final such a real tonic for you? Because I remember as well speaking to you, and you know, you were saying, you know, you probably wouldn't be allowed to literally sort of think about it until after the Blackpool game, because I guess in a way it was strange, wasn't it, the way it was positioned in the fixtures?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a weird one, knowing that you had Wembley to look forward to, but you still had league business to take care of, and you know, we were very aware of our, you know, continued sort of slide, I think, and I think definitely that sort of helped propel us up the league a little bit, because it gave us something to focus on, and going into Wembley in such good form was brilliant. But then I think the more important thing was to put the Wembley disappointment behind us and to go unbeaten for the rest of the season was a very great effort from everyone.
As you say, the response to that Wembley final was fantastic, and you've had some great performances both collectively as a team, but also, you know, yourself in recent weeks as well, which was so pleasing, and the clean sheets that you've kept as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think the gaffer rotated the team, quite a lot and gave everyone minutes going into the summer, which was great. And I think it was a testament to him that he would make sort of sometimes 5 or 6 changes for a match, and the team wouldn't really dip off in form or performance. I think everyone was dialed into the way that we wanted to play and the way we're doing things. And like I say, it's just a bit frustrating that it seemed to come, at the wrong time.
That must have been really helpful as well with the schedule, obviously with the rearranged fixtures, especially the way this April has been with so many of those away games towards the end of the season.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I would never trade it because the trade off was Wembley, which was a great day, and a chance to win a trophy. But it does become tiring. I do feel like I think a lot of us were at the stage that we felt like we needed a break now because, like you said, with the 4 away games and traveling the country and two games a week for quite some time, it takes a lot out of you. But then again, on the other side of that, that makes me even more sort of relieved and happy that we managed to finish so strongly, because it would have been easy for nothing to play for, to just to let the season pitter away and not really fight for anything. So it was always nice, especially finishing with a win at home, a clean sheet in front of our fans was a really top moment for us.
I was going to say that must have been a great feeling at the end of the game, because I know when we spoke to you last and you were saying how nice it would be to finish at home, and especially with that, as you say, win and clean sheet, and to finish 10th in the table as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the gaffer had spoken a lot about it, over the past month, about how high could we finish, and he had highlighted a few times about the form in the last sort of second half of the season, and just how much of a points tally could we get to in the second half of the season, and it kept us all hungry. It kept us all sort of fighting for something. I think it's always good to bring momentum into the summer. I think last season we didn't finish particularly well, and I think it then, for whatever reason, then follows us into this season and we start poorly. So I'm hoping that, that bodes us well going into the summer, and then we can start next season off in the same vein of form.
And it's been especially pleasing for the manager to finish so strongly, as you say. And it seems, sort of all his work's kind of paid off as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think he himself obviously wants. It's just relentless, in his sort of motivation and in direction for the players, and he has a vision that he wants to instill in us. And I think there's been a lot of talk about it sort of being a transitional season, and I think to finish off strongly shows that the work he's put in is definitely justified, and it's paid off.
And have you noticed a real change in the style of play and the way the team's set up, and I guess the whole atmosphere since the previous manager left as well, of course?
Yeah, absolutely. The gaffer kind of spoken a lot about he needed to put his own stamp on things, but it was something he didn't want to change too much too quickly, because we were getting success before, so it's hard to fix kind of what's not broken. But he has his own authority and wants to put his own stamp on the team, and he lives and dies by that, to be honest. So it's makes me even more buzzing, to be honest, that we managed to sort of repay all the work that he puts in behind the scenes and all the hours that he spends trying to help us. And again, it almost makes you more gutted about when you think about days like Wembley, because to repay him with a winner's medal would have been perfect. But that's football at the end of the day, and it is something that I'm sure he'll be relentless going into the summer break and in his preparation for next season as well.
Have you noticed a real development in your own game as well?
I have, yeah. It's I think it's been one of my better seasons, to be honest. I think I've found a real consistency in the second half of the season since I came back from my injury, and it's stepping into more of a leadership role as well is something that I've loved, since it started to happen more and more this season. And it's again, I kind of do feel like I could have wanted the season to carry on, because I feel like I was playing well and the team was winning. But that's not to say I'm not looking forward to the break as well.
And does it feel extra special when you're wearing the armband as well?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's to captain any club is a great achievement, but for one that I have such an affiliation with, 5 years at the club, and it is one that it's I have settled in really well, and I think it's inevitable that when you feel settled and happy that you're going to play your best stuff, and it is something just that on top of that, to wear the captain's armband is the cherry on top.
Is there a point where you feel like, oh, I'm a senior player now, or is it more of a sort of gradual thing?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I think it's just sort of a gradual. The more years you spend at one club, the more experience you have and the more memories you've created. I think you just a gradual progression. Sort of similar to stepping into the leadership role is gradual progression because, the gaffer retired and, Akinfenwa leaves, Darius Charles leaves, and, now Joe Jacobson is leaving as well, who's, got incredibly big shoes to fill for whoever steps into his side. And it's just a slight progression that I feel like players, never stop getting older, and the club has to go in a new direction now. And it's, but with people like that I've had to learn off of, it's only ever going to stand me in good stead.
I think there's something really nice as well, isn't there, about being a senior player and, knowing that you can help with other youngsters' development and especially that, players could come to you who, are coming up into your position perhaps, or, perhaps they're new to the team, and obviously you can relate to when you were new and you can help them sort of settle in as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's something since I've been at the club over the last sort of 3 years. I think it's since we've developed the B team. It's something that I pride myself on is trying to help those boys whenever possible, because sometimes experience can be invaluable, and I think it's something that I've learned. When I was younger, I learnt on older players and asked their opinion, and they helped me out a lot. So it is something that I want to do and want to do more if I can, and next season will be no different. I don't think you necessarily need the armband for that. I think players should probably pride themselves on helping out the younger ones, because they were all in that situation once, and the B team has been a success at Wycombe since it's been created, and hopefully that can continue.
And you mentioned someone, of course, who's got their 400th appearance on Saturday. That must have been fantastic to have been, part of that back line with him for such a long time. And you've even played in his position before as well, so you kind of literally know what it's like to be in his shoes.
Yeah, absolutely. JJ's an incredible person and an incredible servant to the club, and whatever he has in store next is going to be exciting. And we all wish him all the best, because he deserves everything he gets, because he's one of a kind. It's not often that you can spend 10 years at a club, and 400 games is an incredible achievement. And I was delighted for him that he managed to get a send-off on Saturday, because he deserves it. And then he will be a massive miss, not just for the on the pitch, but off the pitch. He's one of my closest friends in football, and he's definitely going to be a massive miss to the changing room. But and whoever comes in, and Lukey's been playing left back for a lot of this season, and they have big shoes to fill, because he was a great player for us.
And are there certain things that you'll take from this season into next? Because I saw there was a chat you did with Phil after the game, and he was saying what a great kind of structure that's been built towards the end of this season that you can really push on for next season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think inevitably you're going to lose players. Unfortunately, that's the way that the sort of loan system and the world of football works. I'm sure the gaffers, as I mentioned before, relentless in going and searching for maybe the next Freddie Potts or the next Nigel or the next Dale Taylor or whoever else. That's probably why he's going to struggle to switch off this summer. But I think the structure is there. I think we've got a great nucleus of players, a very solid base to hopefully build on for next season. So it is something that I'm really looking forward to. And when I go away and enjoy my holidays and things, and coming back, it is a feel of excitement that I'll have.
And it feels like a bit of a cliche, I guess, but have you really learned as a group, from going through that experience of that winless run, and also, of course, obviously the game at Wembley as well? People say, you take so much from defeat. Absolutely,
you do. I think this season I've learned a lot about myself. I've also learned a lot about my teammates, and when things aren't going well, I think it's all great and rosy, and when things are going well and you're winning games of football, it can paper over a lot of cracks at times. But when things aren't going well, and you're really having to question yourselves and look in the mirror, and everyone was looking at each other as we were trying to get through the winless run, you really find out what people are made of. And it was a big learning curve for myself and for the boys, and I'm sure for the gaffer as well. Learned a hell of a lot during that time. So yeah, it was. Don't get me wrong, I'm not thankful for the winless run. I would have rather that we managed to pick up some more results during that time. But yeah, it's been a season of massive lessons for myself personally.
And a great sort of display of resilience and adaptability from the team as well, which again can only be a great thing going forward.
Yeah, for sure. It can only stand you in good stead. I think, facing tough times and coming through them, the club, even down to the Kuigs, Rob, essentially stood by the gaffer and was very, very firm in his backing of the gaffer, which, was a massive show of support, which, everyone was very relieved at, because everyone felt the weight of the winless run. And I think it just makes you even more relieved that we've now finished the season so strongly. And I think it's a great feeling of optimism going into next year.
And do you have any particular kind of games or occasions or parts of the season which were really memorable and that really stick out?
Definitely. I think recently the Bradford away game, I think, was a terrible performance on our behalf. I think you can't mix your words when you discuss that, because we didn't play well at all. But the only thing you had to do was win, and I think that feeling when Butch scored that goal to get us to Wembley, and then the whole Wembley day it was an incredible feeling. And it's just I think as the weeks have passed, I think I do look back on it as a good day, because I'm not going to lie, I found it very, very difficult to take any positives out of it, because essentially you didn't have a winner's medal at the end. But I think the whole cup run in itself was a thing that sort of galvanised the club and the fans, and sort of repaid them in a little bit, because the league form hadn't been great at that time. But there's been a good few performances. I think Reading away was a great day as well. That one stands out as well as a good performance and a good win. And it's a season of highs and lows, and it's nice to get the break, but you're already looking forward to starting it all over again next season.
And do you as players kind of keep an eye out for who's coming down and who's going up, who you'll be facing next season? Obviously, you already know about kind of Huddersfield and Rotherham.
Yeah, absolutely. It's looking like a sort of an incredible league next year, to be honest with you. I think the teams that are coming up from League Two are all massive clubs that have a lot of ambition, and the clubs coming down from the Championship are exactly the same. They'll be looking to get back to the Championship at the first time of asking, no doubt. So it's going to be a really, really interesting league. I think every year it seems to just be more like a mini Championship than League One. So it's going to be a very competitive league. We're very well aware of that, because the teams all, I think, nowadays start. I think there's a very high percentage of the teams start the season with their ambition being, can we get in these playoffs? Can we get in and around it? So, I think the team, especially the teams coming up from League Two, they are not looking to stay in the league. They're looking to go and get promoted again. So it's going to be a really, really interesting season, and one that we have to prepare for properly.
Well, we wish you all the best for that, and obviously congratulations on your successful end to the season. We hear from your post-match chat on Saturday. You've got some travel coming up.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, going flying off to America. Yeah, next week. Really, really looking forward to that. Me and my wife went kind of big because we both turned 30 this year. So, we thought, why not? We'll push the boat out a bit, and that's, I think I had plenty of experience of PQing and things, and where to go and all the rest of it. So it's really looking forward to a well-deserved break.
Well, have a great time, both of you, and congratulations on your 30 milestone. Congratulations on reaching 30 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I don't think it was as painful as I was expected, to be honest. So, but thank you for that.
And thank you so much indeed for chatting to us throughout the season. It's been brilliant to have you on as always.
Perfect, mate. Top man, mate. Thank you very much, Colin.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Part 2 of the final Wycombe Wanderers show of the season. We've completed Series 4, well, almost. Throughout this year, as in previous campaigns as well, I've been very fortunate. A big thank you to JDT and to Alan Hutchison as well, the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association, all the team as well, who've been involved in helping out, and of course all the ex-players that we've spoken to over the last, well, I was trying to work out how many months it is, and I genuinely don't know. But we've put together a bit of a compilation, kicking off, starting. These are all in order, by the way. You'll recognise many of these voices. Kicking off last summer.
I think what made it unique was obviously the timing of the goal. People go long times and score goals. I think it was Lloyd Doyley. I think it went for, I can't remember how long, but he went for years without scoring, and they scored a goal. But I think it was just like the occasion, the sending off, the ebb and the flow of the game. Obviously, me not scoring. It was the last kick of the game. It just all kind of rolled into that one, just made it even more special, I think. And then obviously there was the T-shirts that kind of needed to be remade after the Exeter game when I went and scored again, which was quite funny, kind of ruined the club's idea of, making all this money from selling T-shirts. And then obviously, it's something that everybody pulls me about who's a Wycombe fan, and even sometimes not even Wycombe fans. I've got a couple of Carlisle fans that always come up to me and they tell me about that goal as well. So it's kind of like etched into folklore, I suppose.
Sutton United away from home is they're definitely one of my top 5 games as a manager at Wycombe, and maybe even higher up than that. We had the experience of beating Kidderminster a couple of years earlier in the FA Trophy, and we desperately wanted to get back to Wembley. We're in the semi-final. We didn't play well in the first game. They beat us at Adams Park, but the crowd itself, our supporters, turned out in big numbers. The stadium was packed to the rafters at Sutton, and the players were so up for the game that you knew in the dressing room beforehand that we would do it. Matty Crosby scored twice, and we were absolutely fantastic. Of course, Keith got them back from injury. That was a big plus for us. And that afternoon was something I would never forget. It was really great. And then to go on to win at Wembley then and complete the double was terrific.
I come across Brian because of his situation at Bisham Abbey. I got into the England squad and Great Britain squad, and we went there to train it felt like every other day, to be honest. But we trained there, and I got to know him from that. And then when things started to get to deciding where I really wanted to end up, I thought, I was impressed by his performance at Bisham Abbey. And then at Wycombe, they started to look at the business, so it was great to go there.
The thing I remember from the promotion season was actually the rivalry with Yeovil at the time. And, they seemed to like to beat us. I think we had them in a cup competition. I think they beat us home and away. But we ended up being about a fair few points ahead of them, didn't we? 100 and something points. I remember us being relentless. I remember us going to places and being absolutely relentless and so much better than everybody else. And I remember playing some players that played that season against us. Les Ferdinand played for Hayes against us that season. Ian Dowie played that season for Hendon, I think, against us.
I remember feeling that, oh, blimey, this is easy, without sounding arrogant. It was a different level, obviously. I'd come from second division and Carlisle and then down to Blackpool in the third division. So I think we played someone like Maidstone at home and I scored in a friendly. I think that's the only real memory other than getting thumped at home by, I think it was Barnet on the sloping pitch. And that was a bit of an eye-opener, to be honest.
I never got tempted away. I was a little bit unfortunate getting injuries during that period. I'm pretty sure if I'd have stayed fit and clear of injury, I might well have moved on and played at a different level and for a different team. But my circumstances over my 17-year journey were that every time my contract was due for renewal, I was happy to sign it. They were happy to offer me one. Wycombe were happy to offer me one. And I just felt that it was a sort of a marriage made in heaven in some ways. I was fairly local. I was living in Amersham when I first started playing for Wycombe. And then when I moved out of my parental home, I was local all the time. And it's just been a really good coming together, and I enjoyed every minute of it.
I think we played Walthamstow Avenue when Jim Lewis was playing, the old Jim Lewis was playing centre forward for them. And the one thing I do remember is that Walthamstow went down the field, Jim Lewis got the ball, whacked it past, I think Ken Brown was in goal at the time, past the goalie, hit the metal stanchion at the back of the net, and Ken caught it. He thought it had hit the bar, he threw it out, and play continued, and the ref didn't realise it had gone in the net. And all of Walthamstow players were going mad. We went down the other end of the field, and I believe it was Len Worley scored a goal. And that sticks in my mind like anything.
It was definitely, I'd like to say, a family-orientated club in terms of, it wasn't just about, like I say, we had such a good connection with the fans, with ourselves. And like I say, off the pitch things that we did, the team building things we've done. I've done them probably in pre-season before, but never throughout the season. We went to France and all them kind of things, but we carried it on and it was really, really good. And I think it did help. It absolutely did help. And like the young lads coming into the changing rooms and all that kind of stuff, it can be a little bit nervous, and you want to try and make them feel as relaxed as you can. And I'm sure Blooms is carried on that trend in his own managerial style, because I know if I ever go on and lucky enough to become a manager, I know it's something that I'll take forward with me.
And weirdly enough, when the first time he went, Martin, the gaffer, I should call him Martin, the gaffer said, enjoy it because you don't know when it's going to happen again. And I enjoyed the second one more than the first one because the first time, obviously it was the Twin Towers then, it wasn't as it is now. It's a magnificent stadium now, but I think then it was iconic. And then the first one in 91, as you come out, all you saw was a little bit of blue. And then as you got closer, it just went bigger and bigger and bigger. And they were the things that stuck out in 91. But the game was just, it was gone. Whereas in 93, when we went there, you could take it all in a little bit more. We went to Wembley again, but you took everything in. So it was a more enjoyable moment.
The other thing that we don't talk about too much is Adams Park. When we moved from Lokes Park to Adams Park, the fact that we were moving from a pitch that was on a gradient next to a hospital to a flat pitch, that it was almost like moving to Wembley as our own stadium. And to be fair, the pitch 90% of the time was in fantastic condition. And I'm sure that played a part in the way we played, because we enjoyed playing football as well. And the players that we had who were pushing forward were great at having great services to provide and score goals.
I remember one game, I think we lost at home Northwich Victoria, and I gave the ball away and they scored their goal. And I remember walking in the dressing room after the game and Steve Wolford came up to me and said, you better go and apologise to the gaffer, Martin. And I was like, what? He said, no, do yourself a favour, go and apologise. Because he said, why did you, and that's fine. I went in and knocked on the door and I spoke to Martin and he explained to me and I said, look, Martin, I should have made a better decision, made a better choice in such a crucial point of the game. And, sometimes I think back, I think maybe that's what got me the cup final place.
Heidi was one of my best pals. He's an incredible goalkeeper, probably the best I've seen in my career. And that's saying something, to be honest. But he was an outstanding guy as well. Just a stupid sense of him, which attracted me straight away. But the only one time that I actually went out with a guy, because I probably hadn't told you this, but my nickname was Pilot Light, because I never went out. I was a family man, basically. But eventually they got me to go out with them, and Heidi was my minder, if you like. So, because he's a big guy. I always choose the big guys to look after me on a night out.
Going professional was a big step in my life, and it really changed things. I mean, we had I went in the conference. We had a football tour to Faliraki in Greece on the roads, and we all bonded out there again. And everybody decided to sort of stay along at Wycombe and make sacrifices with jobs and everything else. And then when we come back for the training ground, a totally new development for Martin and all of us at Homer Green and everyone else. We had to sort the training facilities out, which was very raw and bordering in not that professional, but we made it work. And as a team, looking at where Wycombe Wanderers are now, they're firmly in people's thoughts all the time now by getting into the Championship. And to be quite honest with you, they only needed, a point to stay up, and the amount of points that they lost on the last minute of the game in the first 10 games, any one of them wins would have kept them up in the Championship. That would have been a huge ordeal to be in the Championship. But to survive and be a First Division team as long as they've been now is testament to the club and the way they run the books and the way they run the club now. It's fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
We wouldn't do any set pieces, and all he done was motivated the players, and every single player that played in that team every week knew they had to do the business or they weren't in the team the following week. So all the other stuff, tactics, everything else went out the window. He just knew how to keep the team happy and keep the team motivated, and I think it's still the same to this present day, whether he's managing the Premier League or the National League for Ireland or anybody. He keeps it simple, and we respected him for that.
I mean, I think when I joined, we were in the conference, we had a good run under Jim. That year, I think we sort of went about 20 games undefeated in the league, and I think we were sort of pushing a little bit for actual getting promotion. And then I think we lost in the quarter-final of the FA Trophy that year, and our season sort of just drifted away. So we had a good nucleus, but probably lads who'd been there a while. And then, obviously, when Martin came in, we suddenly started having a bit of a nucleus of younger fellas. maybe a little bit more hungrier, had a bit of a point to prove. I think that was mentioned at the dinner the other night. And we got lucky in a way that the group came together when it did. Everyone got on really well, and it was a gradual progression. It wasn't a sort of immediate. It took us 2-3 years or whatever it was in the end to actually get into the Football League once Martin had taken over.
I have to say, when I look back, I think, well, maybe I was a bit lucky. I don't know, because we've had some really good goalkeepers. I mean, Paul Barron, who went on to play for Arsenal and Aston Villa, he was a good goalkeeper. He came there as a young chap, and he didn't displace me, and some would have said he should have done, perhaps. I don't know. But he didn't displace me. And we've had several, really. Even there was a goalkeeper called John Pratt, who was their reserve goalkeeper, and I would say, no disrespect to John, but he was not the best squad goalkeeper we've had at Wycombe. And he went to Reading because I was offered a contract with Jack Mansell, the manager then, because they were short of goalkeepers, and it wouldn't have paid me to have gone there, the money they offered me. And John Pratt went there, and he said, well, I'll go there because they need a goalkeeper desperately. He was a teacher, so he could go back to his job at any time. And he went there, and believe it or not, he played, and you can check the records on this, he played 40 games for the first team. And then he come back to Wycombe afterwards when they didn't renew his contract, and he was second string again. But goalkeepers are important, and obviously Brian could have got any goalkeeper in the country, amateur goalkeeper, but he stuck with me.
Martin loved us to attack. He wanted us to score goals, and he set his team up to score goals, and we had a lot of good attacking players. We had good defenders as well, don't get me wrong, but we had some great attacking footballers in that team. I mean, you can go on and on about naming them. I mean, you got Steve Guppy, Simon Stapleton, Steve Thompson, Dave Carroll. Brilliant footballers. And really, like I've said before, really enjoying themselves. The good thing about it as well at Wycombe was the other clubs didn't really know much about these sort of players because it was at their first season in the Football League, so they didn't really know a lot about them. And they went onto a football pitch at the start of a game. They always had a smile on their face.
We started the new season with Marcus Bean, concluded the calendar year with Simon Garner. Then after Christmas in 2024, this happened.
At the time, obviously, you don't realise what you're going to be part of. Coming from non-league, it was difficult because only one team got promoted into the Football League, so it was difficult. You had to win the league. The season before, we'd drawn and lost. I think we got about over 100 points, and Colchester beat us on goal difference. So to go up the following season was really good.
It's always some special moments, like when you go in to play Stadium of the Light, when we play against Sunderland, and instead getting the bus to the stadium, we all walk together to the stadium. No players going at the front, no players going at the back. No, we all together and gelled. Also playing against Sunderland at home, getting some good crowds. That was kind of the show what the club can be playing in the future years, and that was what happened. And the club got into the championship, and then already had those kind of experiences, and that just gives you excitement to go and actually trying to get into that division. That moment definitely stayed in my head, playing against Sunderland, playing against Tottenham away. So those kind of moments is the moments who will stay on your head.
The penalties against Wimbledon stick them on mine massively because I come off with a hamstring, so it was really took out of my hands, and the rest of the guys done marvellously with tails as well. I can't remember much about the game. I remember pulling my hamstring, and then I remember celebrating with tails afterwards. So it was just a great feeling.
Because it's a small club, it's the bond you have within the era of football that you play, and you stay friends for the rest of your life. And that doesn't change. And sometimes you meet people you haven't met for 10, 15 years, and you're straight back into taking the mick out of each other again and winding each other up and messing about, which is a lovely thing to do.
Whoever comes in, they have their favourites, they pick the team. So
if you're seen to be doing what you're supposed to be doing, then there's no reason why you don't stay in the team. If you're sort of not being shown on a training pitch or whatever what you're supposed to be doing, and you're not at 100%, then they're not going to play you. You know, it was just the same when Tony Adams came in and took over. It's just a shame that he tried to make us like Arsenal, and when we weren't like Arsenal. And that's what sort of made it seem a little bit worse, because he just came in thinking he could do it, and, you know, with the players that we had in the squad, we weren't strong enough to sort of adjust to that, how quickly he wanted us to. If he had sort of stayed there for a couple of seasons and sort of ground it into us, how, you know, Arsenal played or how he wanted us to play like Arsenal, then maybe it would have worked out for him. But it's just one of those things. A manager will turn up and be brilliant, and the team he picks will be fantastic, but then another manager will turn up and he'll try and do things and they just don't work. And I feel that's what happened with sort of Tony Adams.
I think for me, I would have been happy playing one professional football match when I was probably 5 or 6 years old, walking out in front of, I think the most I played in front of is just under 50,000. So that's something that you could only have dreamt of as a young boy. And I would have taken that to have happened once. But I've been very lucky to, I think, have almost a couple of 100 professional games. So yeah, it's been more than sufficient in terms of what football's given me. I've loved every single minute of it, and I'm still loving it to this day.
I used to be a coach as well, and so I'd known Jim a little bit through that. So it was less about proving myself. Well, it was about proving myself, but it was someone I knew, whereas I never knew Peter beforehand. So it was about building that relationship with Peter. Whereas with Jim, it was slightly different. But you know, at that time, Jim had his own sort of views in terms of the style of play he wanted to play. He wanted to play a slightly different system and things like that. You'll probably remember he had two wing backs. He played, I think it was Sean Norman and Steve Abley, I think it was, the wing backs, yeah, and played sort of three at the back. And that was different to what we'd been playing. We'd been playing a 4-4-2 most of the time. And you know, at that time, he began to look at other centre-half, people like Matt Crossley and Glyn Creaser, and brought them along. And I think I'd had an injury that year and went out on loan to Harrow Borough as well. But you could see that the things were sort of transitioning, things were changing. And obviously, Glyn had played at a really good level. I think he was at Barnet, wasn't he? Matt Crossley had come across as a young player, I think, from the sort of Newbury area. And you could see straight away, I mean, it was always going to be slightly more difficult for me to get back into that team. And Jim, you know, released me at that point and you know, sold me on to Aylesbury United.
I actually do remember in the I think it was the 84-85 season, we played Enfield at Lokes Park, and then Keith Barrett was on the opposition. And I remember running down the wing, and I'd got off to a decent start. I'd scored some goals, and I suddenly felt this right elbow in my ear from Keith Barrett, and he said to me, "Welcome to the big time, son." As it turned out, Keith ended up being a teammate down the road and was a terrific lad.
You'd sort of just take what's happening almost for granted, and you go ahead and you play your matches, you do your best, and you know you're playing for a great club, but you don't think in terms of later years or what sort of impact you may or may not have had. It's only now that one realises that you have made a little bit of a mark, on a very good club.
And as I say, really brilliant that we can still talk about it all these years later.
Yeah, an awful long time later. Oh, to be young again, eh?
It was just in complete floods of tears. I think it was just relief, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it was a fantastic day and an amazing build-up to that particular day at Wembley. 93, obviously, I didn't play, but the boys very kindly allowed me to go up and pick up the trophy that they'd won after beating Runcorn. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, it just flies past, and you can miss so much of the actual game itself. You get so mixed up in the build-up and everything else. It's a fascinating experience.
Another memorable game was playing for Wycombe. We did a tour of Holland, playing one of the top Dutch sides. I played over there, and I think that was probably one of the most enjoyable games I've ever played in.
What a privilege and a fantastic opportunity to get to chat to so many generations of players. Rounding up there with Dick Tumnut, we also heard from Len Worley and kicked off that segment, of course, with Mark West. I'm sure you recognise many of the other names in that compilation. A big thank you to the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association, as I say, and a real pleasure to feature them on the show.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Throughout the season on the Wycombe Wanderers show, been fantastic to follow the chair girls as well. We've spoken to Wycombe Wanderers players ranging from the age of 17 to 30 something, and it's been fantastic to hear from them throughout the season as well, and brilliant to be able to host in the studio Carl Simon, the Wycombe Wanderers women's manager.
Oh, it's great to see as always, Colin, and nice to come into the studio for the first time. In terms of the season, I think it's been much improved from last year. What we expected, we wanted to just become a bit more of a solid outfit at Tier 5 and try and push on up the league, which we've done. And there's been a few results that have gone against us that we would have expected to win. But, you know, we sit mid-table with a positive goal difference and feeling good about the coming season.
What would you say you're especially pleased with about what the team has achieved this season?
I suppose for us it was just becoming more solid as a unit. And we did that from the goalkeeper, from the defence in midfield. We were able to achieve that. What we're trying to do now is score more goals, and last 2 games we scored plenty, so that's the next part of it. We will start at the back, and we've done that now. We feel like we're a solid unit, so that's what I'm most pleased of, if I'm honest.
And the players that you've brought in have done so well as well.
Yeah, we brought a lot of players in. There was high turnover of players, and the players that we came in, especially the first part of the season, done a really good job for us, and obviously the team's always evolving. But yeah, the players that have come in, they've all played their part. We've selected, I think it's 30 players this season that played for the first team, so everyone's played their part in some way.
I think, as you know, we've had many of the players on this season, and what comes across really nicely, I think, especially is when they say, you know, they've worked with you before, or you've known them a long time, or that you've been keeping an eye on them and you've sort of brought them in. That must be so nice, both for you and for what they can bring to the team as well. Yeah,
it's always good to work with players that you've known before. You know, some players you've known since they were 14, 13 years of age, and it's really nice to be able to see them playing first team football. And you think back and you think, wow, you know, it's quite special. So and it's always nice for them, their parents as well. You know, you want to help people along in their football journey. You know, some of the players, it's just whilst they're here with us and then they go on to university or other teams, whatever it may be. But no, it's really nice and very rewarding to be a part of any player's football journey.
Great for you to see their development and be a part of it, and of course your coaching staff as well.
Yeah, of course, coaching staff is developing again as well. And as you know, recently I lost Dan and my sister for 5 years, so it's really good to see them enjoying their football and developing as well.
And you brought in another Dan as well from QPR this season, which has been such a boost to so many.
Yeah, Danny's come in. Known Danny from afar for quite a while, for quite a few years, watched his work, admired what he does for quite a while. So to be able to bring Danny in, I was absolutely delighted with that. And not only Danny, but now we've got the foundation coming in, and we've got the likes of Nick, and we've got Kirk and their expertise, and they've got a whole school of coaches as well. So the coaching department at Wycombe Wanderers Women is about to get a massive shot in the arm.
And something else which has been really nice from the players that we've spoken to as well, there have been a few who've, you know, considered themselves playing in a particular position, but you've kind of moved them, and because obviously you thought, well, they can perhaps do a better job, or it works better for what you want, and they've benefited from that as well.
Yeah, well, there's levels, isn't there? I mean, certain players will come as a centre forward, but actually at this level, in this tier, you might be better as a fullback or as a centre half or whatever it may be, or you might look at someone and think, well, that's your attributes. You might be playing at centre half like Amy Leach, but we looked at her attributes, you know, thought, well, actually, you could do a really good job as a central forward. So it depends really. You know, coaches have to make assessments on players all the time. If a player's not excelling in a position, you know, you don't just discard that player. You have another look at it and you think, well, what attributes do they have, and maybe they can do another job for us in another position. And we always prepare to try that to get the best outcome for the player and the team.
And there must have been so many things against you this season, the weather, players' availability or injury, but do you feel that you've kind of got in your mind perhaps your strongest 11?
Yes, but that evolves again, you know, and that's what we want. You know, we want a situation where players, you know, really feel that if they play well, they train really well, and they get the opportunity, which they know they'll get underneath, and then they play well, they can stay on the side. And we're seeing that right now with Mia Parkin, 16 years old, started the last 2 games and 2 wins. So, it's there for everybody, and I think it's really important that we have that, and we don't have a closed mindset when it comes to players, because that negatively impacts the long-term prospects of the club.
And from a manager's point of view, do you really welcome the fact that a youngster can make their way from the under-18s to the first team, and which to them might have seemed quite a long way off initially?
It's probably one of the most pleasing things to see. You still have to protect them. You can't load all the pressure of the team on those players, and you have to accept that a young player might come in and do fantastically well, but then they'll have a dip. Yeah, so it's how you manage that situation. Sometimes it's watching the junior game and saying, let me get them out of this situation that's now tough and going against us, because it's not going to be good for them and their development. So it's how you manage that situation. But yeah, it's a fantastic feeling when young players come through. It's very rewarding. It's what we do it for, ultimately, to see players do well.
And something else which comes across is you have a great blend of characters within the squad, and a real mix of youth and experience as well.
Yeah, the blend's quite right. We've got some really experienced players, and we've got some really young players, and we've got players in the middle. So over the past 2 years, we've really done a lot of good recruitment in terms of getting the balance right. The mix of the squad is really good, and it helps when you bring young players in, and then you've got really senior players that they feel they can lean on. And we've had that this year as well, so it's been good.
Really nice, I think, as well, again, from speaking to the younger players and the older players, that the senior players, they feel they have a great role in, if any of the youngsters do have anything to ask them, or they can help in their own development, that's a great kind of role to play as well.
First of all, they're good people. You can start with that. Then everything else just falls into place. So, if you're a good person, then you'll be there to help your teammates, you'll be there to help the team, and whoever is in and around the club. And fortunately, our senior players are very much in that mould.
And great that the first team trained alongside the under-23s and the under-18s as well. It really helps, I think, with you as well, to be able to spot talent that can be brought through, but also for the younger players to kind of really see, this is something I could achieve.
Yeah, I mean, obviously space dictates, but the 23s do train with the first team, and when we can, we get the 18s involved as well. And yeah, you're right, it's just letting them train together on the grass as well, and understand each other and think, well, actually, I think I could do what you're doing, they've got to be able to see it and feel it, so that's good. It's good for morale as well. And like I said, we was at Adams Park on Saturday, and we had players from the first team, 23s, and the 18s. People probably thought that was the first team, but that was actually players from all teams in the club, which was pleasing to see.
And really incredible as well that you're able to kind of build and really get the team playing the way you want to. How would you describe the main kind of strengths of the side, especially this season?
Well, we're a very proactive side. That's what we want to be. We want to be aggressive with them without the ball and control the game as much as we possibly can. And we're getting that now. We're getting that from the work that we've done with the players. I think it's beginning to become part of our DNA, which is what we want. But at the same time, you have to let players develop within that. In a very tough environment, Tier 5 is a very unforgiving, I think I call it, league to play in, because one lapse in concentration and you'll be a goal or two down, and a little less application, shall I say, and opportunities pass you by and the game is gone. So I think the harsh realities of it for a lot of players has been one of the biggest learning.
And I guess they've shown real resilience and real togetherness as well, which has really benefited them throughout the season.
Yeah, they're a resilient lot. I can't fault the players. I really can't fault the players. It's just that on some occasions, like I said, the league can be very cruel and very unfortunate. And sometimes you have to score your way out of things in this league. And scoring goals has been something that we need to address. We know that. We tried to address it this season. We'll address it again next season. And if you look at all the teams, the two teams at the top, that's what they had in their armoury to everybody else. They could score 3-4 goals in a game and get themselves out of trouble, so they could win games 4-2. And that's the difference. So, resilience and commitment and everything else that you want, we have that in abundance. But we just need a little bit extra the other way to get us out of trouble, because everybody makes mistakes. We don't expect to go the season with, completely clean sheets. We know we're going to concede a goal here or there, but we just need the firepower that will just make sure that we're on the right side of the result.
I'm really pleased to end the season on a high against Warminster with those 3 goals and the clean sheet as well.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Clean sheet the previous week as well. So, the last 2 games are really fantastic for us, and everything we want to see, we saw from the team. From a coaching's perspective, it was probably the most satisfying 2 performances we've ever had. The players did everything perfectly well. But the difference was we've got the goals to make so everybody feel good about it, because yourself, supporters, parents, players, those couple of moments when the ball just goes over the line changes the complexion and everything. But on a coaching perspective, we see a lot of that good stuff that we want. But the magic stuff, the magic moments that players can provide, we were lacking those a little bit this season. But all of a sudden, we wish the season could continue, because all of a sudden now it's coming, and long may it continue into next season.
And you had a different option in goal as well, which was interesting.
Yeah, Bobby went in goal for me. Had a call from Chelsea the night before. Unfortunately, she had a medical issue and she had to go to hospital. She had a 9-hour wait, and we wish her a speedy recovery. But yeah, all our goalkeepers are down, either with studying for A-levels, because that time of the year we do have a lot of young players and they've got to do A-level revision. So we just didn't have the players available in our goalkeeping department. So called on captain Bobby Lynch. I know she did it for Reading many years ago. I seen the picture, so I said, look, would you go and goal for us? And without hesitation, she goes, yeah, let me go and buy some gloves. No debating about it whatsoever. Completely selfless for the needs of the team, whatever they may be, Bobby is. So yeah, she went in goal for us, and you just don't know what you're going to get. It could be an absolute disaster, and every time they kick the ball towards the goal, they score. Or she could play a blinder, and she played a blinder, to be fair. As Dan said, she didn't have lots to do, but there was one moment at 1-0 when she had to make a very key save, and she made it. And her distribution, obviously as an outfield player, was absolutely fantastic, and really changed the complexion and the energy that Warminster could apply to us just by her long and short passing. So, no, she done really well, but it's not like that every week. I'm sure Chelsea will tell her it's not as easy as that every week. But yeah, she done well for us.
Is it quite disappointing in a way that the season's coming to an end? Because as you say, it really feels like things are starting to click now.
Yeah, it is. We've still got a few games. So we've got Sutton away this weekend. I'm going to play them in a friendly, which will be nice going to their stadium. And then we have the following week we had the Sponsors Cup, which we brought in last year. We were playing Maidenhead again. So we beat them last year 1-0. I'm sure they'll be looking to settle the score on that one in the replay. And then we have Epsom and Ewell. We're going to be playing the following week. So 3 games, maybe one more, and then a well-earned break for everybody.
Are these games a real opportunity as well, especially for the newer members of the side to really come in and sort of show you what they can do, and perhaps give you some food for thought going into the summer? Yeah, and we've got some prospective players that we're looking to sign for next season, so they'll get an opportunity just to see how they fit in with what we're doing. Like I say, we know exactly what we need now. It's very specific. It's fine details. It's last pieces now. Like I said, when I first came in the first year, it was a massive overhaul, massive turnover, sifting through, sorting out. Now we're just putting a couple of pieces here and there. Literally, that's what we have to do. So we've got a few players I'd like to have a look at in these games coming up, and some players from the under-18s or the under-23s will also get another opportunity to stake a claim for next season. And you've had these talent ID events as well, which is a great idea and a great way for youngsters perhaps to come and try and impress as well. Yeah, we had trials last week, and we'll be having a talent ID. We haven't fixed a date for it yet. Still waiting for. We're speaking with Nick Hunt because he's got some ideas as well. So probably around about the end of May, I presume, and we'll try and get one in. It'll be a midweek one at the training ground. And so, like I said, it's an opportunity to let players have a go against our first team and see what they've got. And like I said, last season, Mia Parkin was one of those players in the talent ID. And I'll never forget watching the footage back at home and just seeing her. She was wearing number 14 that day or something like that. And I called Sonny, under-18s coach. I said, "Who's the one there?" And it was Mia Parkin. I said, "Sign her immediately." And she was signed. And like I said, she finishes the season playing for the first team. So little things like that you remember, and it's always a great day. And you mentioned the foundation coming under their umbrella. Does that really excite you about what's to come for the future as well? Yeah, we've been speaking. Me and Mark, it was brought to my attention by Nigel, and he invited me to go and speak to Mark, and that was October, so pretty much near to start the season, and we spoke, and I went up to the GDA and looked at what they do at Flatwell Heath, and looked at their girls section, and then after the girls left, the boys came on. There was so many players, I've never seen anything like it, and burst into the seams there. Two really talented players, expert coaches. Really was impressed.
with the setup they've got, I mean, they probably could go double again. It's just, I've never seen so many players on the pitch, but the quality was really good, and in particular Kirk and Lewis Bloom, and watching them guys work and their methodology was really good. But like I say, you have to move forward, and the foundation was always the next step. Yeah, and it was good to meet Mark and hear his ideas, and just ensure he matched the energy of what we wanted to do. And it was pleasing that he did, and I'd say even more so. He's a really energetic guy. He's a really positive guy. He wants to do great things, and that was good for us. Yeah.
And also, from what you've seen this season, must give you real confidence in promotion is definitely achievable for next season.
It's always been the target. I said it to you from day one, didn't I? Promotion is always the target, but we've always known it was a season of transition, then it was a season to build, and the third season we looked to go for promotion, and we're well on course for that. I think we get the recruitment right for next season in a couple of places. I think we're well on course to have a really good push at it. History tells us it's the teams that finish in the top three. One of them usually go up, but we're 3 points off top three, finishing the season. So if for a result here or there, we could have made top three quite easily, but some results that we expected to win actually went against us. So bits and pieces like that. So we feel that we can do something. But like I said, recruitment is going to be key. And like I said, the foundation are really positive. They want to move the club forward. We'll see how we go from there.
Well, it's been brilliant to follow the team and obviously your progress this season, and wish you all the success for next season. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Pleasure chatting to Carl Simon, the Wycombe Wanderers manager, and wish the Chair Girls all the best, obviously, for next season. As always, plenty of people to thank. Hope I don't miss anybody. Big thank you to Luke, who's produced the show again this season, been a regular contributor as well with notice boards and other things, and also, of course, since his involvement with the club, as a producer of Wanderers TV. Big thanks to Phil, of course, who's been ever present. Big thank you to Matt Cecil at the club as well for facilitating all the brilliant interviews that we've done with the manager and the players. Thanks to Matt Bloomfield and the other players that we've spoken to. Big thanks to Craig of Wycombe Wanderers Women, all their team as well that we've spoken to throughout the season. I'm sure we'll be back next season, hopefully anyway. I don't think I had my contract negotiated yet. Have a fantastic summer. Great news. All the best.